Hi, my name's Dr. Rebecca Doherty. I'm an educational psychologist. I'm going to talk a little bit about sustained shared thinking, which is an approach that we can use to help children of any age extend their thinking, help develop their cognitive abilities and their understanding of the world through our direct interactions with them. Okay, so this is an approach that can be used by anyone interacting with young children, by parents, but also any educators, maybe teaching assistants. Sometimes in early years and the foundation stages in schools, there's slightly more teaching assistants available than higher up in schools. So with those extra people and the extra opportunities for interactions, sustained shared thinking is a way that we can use any opportunity, any interaction with a child to help their cognitive development. I'm going to go ahead and screen share a PowerPoint to help us just sort of structure our thinking a little bit about this. Okay, so we've got their sustained shared thinking, a way of using on any interactions with the child to help develop their cognitive understanding and their thinking processes. So this is a process. I mean, it's something that people we do naturally a lot of the time, but sometimes it's good to know, the best bits of our interactions so that we can capitalize on that and do a little bit more of it. So it's the way it happens at sustained shared thinking when there's two people sharing a focus of thinking. So that you both focus on the same thing. It's not the adult trying to pull the kids' attention away to an adult focus of attention, trying to pull them into adult-led activities. We're using any interaction as the learning opportunity. So the child can be playing in a sandpit, the child can be just walking around outside, looking at the clouds even, and any sort of situation can be a learning opportunity if we can start to talk to the child about their experiences and what's happening in those times. We've got both people sharing a focus of thinking, both people, sometimes it be an adult and a child, but also it could be two peers together, two children together, making contributions to the discussion. And if we imagine that the child is assembling their understanding of the world, if you imagine that they're constructing in their head, imagine a thought bubble coming out of their head, just move that over there. If you imagine a thought bubble coming out of the head of the child, and they're constructing their understanding of the world, as an adult, you can add to that. You can contribute to that. You can add more vocabulary. You can increase their understanding of different concepts like fast and slow, big and small, tall and short, all of these sorts of things. You can contribute through your interactions with them. So as they're constructing their understanding of the world, you can contribute to that. And what we know about children's ability to learn is that it can be easier if we're bringing the learning to their current focus of attention rather than trying to pull it away to something else that's of our interest. But we can use this approach on structured tasks. It might be a learning task and we can talk about it with the child, but it's also in play as well. Any naturally occurring situation a child's engaged in, we can join them and we can use sustained shared thinking to talk about what's happening, to take the things that they say, the contributions that they offer as a starting point, and then add our contributions to that. So if the child is talking about, there's some sticky mud, okay, we're like, okay, this is a starting point. This is where your thinking is at now. What can I add to that? Yeah, it is. It's really sticky. Maybe it's been raining and that's why it's sticky. Sometimes when it's raining, it makes it so sticky. So we've taken a child's current understanding and we've engaged with that. We've added to that the concept that maybe things are sticky when there's more water in them because it's been raining. So we've added to it through sustained shared thinking. We can also think about this approach if we're wanting to generalize the learning from a structured task into their day-to-day understanding. So maybe the child has been doing some learning activities around different shapes or about measurement or anything they've been doing. So it's one thing getting that learning in a structured task situation, but really we want the child to be able to use that concept in their day-to-day life. We want them to be able to understand the concept of shape or the concept of measurement so much that they can use it in their real life situations, not just those structured learning tasks. So if there's specific learning objectives or things that a child has learned in a structured situation, we can take that and then infuse it into our discussions with the child in naturally occurring situations. So if a child has just been learning about quantity and measurement, we can bring that to any situation. If the child is playing in the mud there, we can bring that information about sort of like things being heavier and lighter right into that. We can sort of pick up different handfuls of mud and say, my goodness, look how heavy this is. There's so much here. It's so much heavier. Oh, you've got a tiny bit. I wonder how that feels. Does it feel quite light in your hands? So we're bringing learning to everyday situations, and we're taking the child's contributions as a starting point and helping them structure their thinking from that point. This is a couple of suggestions here, maybe examples of what sustained shared thinking looks like in practice. And it looks like a normal interaction, but have a look at some of the things that are happening there. So we've got a child initially, maybe sort of playing with some cars, and the child saying brum, for example. So the child's like, okay, I'm taking that as the starting point. Rather than pulling it away to another focus, I'm using this as a starting point for learning. So I'm saying, brum, your car is traveling so fast. To which the child might say fast. And the adult can build on that. Then my car is traveling fast, 2 fast cars. Then the child might say brum and bring the car over to the adult. And the adult saying, oh, hello, yellow car, shall we travel together? And it becomes a bit of a narrative that's developing. And if the child says something like, no, I travel all myself, which is obviously a grammatical error, the adult can then use that as a starting point to help them develop their grammar. Oh, you're traveling by yourself. Okay, I will travel all by myself too. See you later, yellow car. So we're not having to correct the child's grammar. We're using their contributions in the interaction as a starting point and building from there. This is another example. A child maybe gathered some bricks together to do some building. Maybe this is a slightly older child. And maybe we're thinking, okay, I want to sort of like help the child think about the concepts of preparation for a task. I'm thinking about maybe adding in some new vocabulary, like the word gathered and preparation, little things that I can add to what's already happening for this child. So the child saying, oh, I'm doing some building, to which the adult might reply, I can see you've gathered lots of bricks together in preparation. I wonder what you will build. Opening it, asking an open-ended question there to invite the child to extend their thinking. Yes, I'm ready to start. I'm making a house. Oh, you're planning to build a house. So they're just sort of adding in that concept of preparation again. You're planning to build a house. You've gathered so many bricks. I think it could be a quite large house. So we're bringing in some concepts here that you've done some preparation, reusing that vocabulary, gathered again maybe to sort of reinforce that. And then we might, if we're reusing the same vocabulary, you can hear the child start to incorporate that a little bit themselves. I've gathered red and blue and yellow bricks. There'll be a big house. Actually, no, a whole hotel. Ah, that makes sense. You've got so many bricks here. You have enough to make a whole hotel. So we're using a slightly more sophisticated language than the child. We're just sort of thinking, okay, this is where the child's at the moment. They're thinking, I'm going to make a hotel. And we can just bring that thinking up on slightly, saying, yes, you have so many bricks. You have enough to make a whole hotel. Okay, I'm going to stop the share there. Okay, so that's what we mean by sustained shared thinking. It's something that's, if you're an adult and you've interacted with some children before, you've probably done this before quite a few times. But it's good for us to be really sort of mindful of the fact that learning is not just something that happens through structured activities. It's not just something that happens in a maths game, a number game, or a phonics game or activity. It's a way that we can bring in our higher abilities in the child to help them to construct their thinking of the world. We all need to construct our thinking in our own individual ways, and each child is different and individual. And when we hear their contributions, we know, that's their starting point. So I'm scaffolding on from that point. I'm taking where they're at now and I'm moving them on just ever so slightly and helping them to structure their thinking about the world.